Hello everyone, welcome to the brand new Klinik RC YouTube channel. With everything going on, I think we're going to have a lot of extra time on our hands, so I wanted to make a YouTube channel for quite a while now to show some of our products, show some tricks of how to use them properly, and basic RC stuff. I've been in RC probably since about 91, so almost what 30 years. Almost 30 years. So there's a lot of things along the way that you learn and pick up and use that maybe guys that have been doing it for 10 years don't know or think about or know the little tricks and stuff. This first video, I wanted to start out just very, very basic. So what I have on my table here is a selection of tools that I consider crucial. Like every racer that takes racing any sort of serious at all should have, in my opinion. So it's very basic. This is going to be redundant for a lot of guys that have been doing this for a long time, but it's good to cover it anyway. So I'm going to start with a few of the basics, and then I'm going to show you a couple that I really like to have and might not even be available anymore, but I'm glad to have them now. So every toolbox is going to have a similar selection to what we have here. You're going to have some drivers, you know, 1.5 mil, 2.5, and then this is my 050 for the little plastic pinion gears. A couple nut drivers, of course, 5.5 for the nuts, 7 for wheels. This little wrench right here is probably like $1 wrench. It's an old Craftsman, 5.5 mil. But this thing is like super handy with grabbing nuts on the back of shock towers or on camber plates or anything like that where you can't get a nut driver into. This will go in, and this also slide in to like the steering posts on the Schumacher cars. Sometimes like to loosen up. So instead of taking the entire bulkhead apart to tighten that, you can just slide this in, tighten it, and you're good to go. So a basic little stupid wrench like that is, man, I use that thing all the time. Also some sort of little electric driver. I've been using this new one from Schumacher. Core RC makes it. It comes with a USB charger, plugs in right here, and then it has the regular 1/4 inch quick change collet. So this thing's pretty awesome. The thing I like about it over like my Hitachis and stuff I've used over the years is it's so small and it's so light. It fits in the toolbox, and you know, it doesn't weigh down the toolbox as much. And this thing, I've built entire kits on one charge. So this thing's awesome. I think it sells for like 40 bucks or something. Totally awesome. Good little thing to have. Obviously you're going to want to have some needle nose. These have been around for a long time. These are probably at least 20 years old. You're going to want to have some bearing oil of some kind. I have some of the Avid stuff, some of the LRP stuff, just some good bearing oil. You're always going to be putting a couple drops in bearings here and there. Some good body scissors, obviously for cutting bodies, wings. Sometimes you'll be trimming tires, sometimes you'll be trimming foams. You'll use those scissors for all sorts of things. Shock pliers, these are huge. I've gone through quite a few sets of these over the years, but these are great because they're aluminum, and when you grab onto the shaft of the shock, it's not going to scratch it up and ruin your O-rings. So these are, I don't know, 8 bucks or something, but you're going to want definitely have a set of shock pliers. You'll be in and out of the shocks a lot. Nice brush. These square ones from Home Depot are pretty good. Long stiff bristles, they don't wear out too quick. This one's a few years old. There's the brand, this is Zebra. These are about 10 bucks, so it's a little bit spendy for a brush, but they do last for a long time. And I like the long bristles so you can get into like the outdrive area of cars and stuff. You'll definitely want a turnbuckle wrench of some kind. This is the 4mm from MIP. It's kind of cool. It's angled. It's nice, so you can get around the wing and the rear real easy. Doesn't really matter what brand. Like over here, I've also used, like here's another one on my bench. It's an old Energy that has the tips that unscrew. This is a 4mm also. So anything that's a good turnbuckle wrench. There's a routine that I've gotten into over the years. Before every run, I check ride height and camber on all my cars every run, because if you land a little sideways or somebody hits you, you might tweak or just move something a little bit. So you always want to check that, make sure you're getting everything aligned before you go run. So this is something that I'll use a ton of. Speaking of ride height, so I have two different ride height gauges here. So they're both from Gia. This one's 15 to 20. So 4-wheel, and on high bite with 2-wheel, especially, you know, obviously carpet and that, you'll be down in this lower area. And then this one's from 20 to 30. So this would be, you know, medium grip on dirt and stuff like that. So I carry both of those around, and a little slider so that I can slide it under the car easy. Obviously a knife. You'll use that for 100 different things. A body reamer. So you'll always have uses for that also, aside from the body. Sharpie, marking tires, left, right, front, rear, etc. Camber gauge. I like these little ones from Muchmore. They're cheap again. They're, you know, $6-10 or something. And then this will always get used at the track too. So when I go to the setup board at the track, I take camber, turnbuckle, and ride height, and take it all over there and set the car and check everything every single run. Another thing that I'm surprised at how many people don't have is a set of digital calipers. This one's been through the war. Obviously, traveling takes its toll on these things, but they're super cheap now. You can get a set of decent calipers for probably 20 bucks. So you're going to use this more times than you even know if you don't have one. Measuring shocks, measuring links, measuring everything. So always have this on hand. So that's pretty much about it, except for this little guy right here. This little guy, I don't even know if you can get these anymore. I bought this probably 20 plus years ago, obviously made by Racer's Edge. This is a ball diff building jig, okay? So what this does, and this seems to be the biggest hiccup with building ball diffs, is building it so it doesn't slip. With this jig, it's foolproof. You cannot possibly build the diff and put it in the car and it's going to slip, because you're going to check it on here. So in the next video, I want to do a ball diff building video. I'll show you what I do. I've had great success with ball diffs. I don't have any problems with them whatsoever. And I want to go through and show you what this little guy does. And I don't know if these are still out there available somewhere, or you could even just make one out of a piece of plastic or carbon or whatever. But basically these match the rough shape of the outdrive, so you can check it and make sure it's smooth. That's kind of irrelevant. This is the part that you want right here, because you're going to take the ball diff, slide the outdrives over each one of these, and then you're going to try to spin it with everything you got. If you can spin it on this jig by hand, it will skip and spin in the car. You'll ruin it. So I set the ball diff just tight enough where I cannot spin it on here at all. And then I put it in the car. I'll break it in on the bench for a minute with the electric wrench with a bit going into the diff bolt. I'll just hold the gear and spin the diff with this, and that helps it break in really nice. Once you get it set on here, after a few runs, just check the tires, check the diff. If it feels like it's loosened up, put your wrench in, just give it a little tiny little tweak just to tighten it a little bit. The biggest thing you just don't want it to ever skip or slip. Once it slips, you're going to be back in there rebuilding it. The smoother the diff is, the more grip you're going to have, the more consistent the car will be, and the easier it'll be to drive. So this will come in the next video, and I'll show you how I use this. So maybe look around online and see if these are available or something like this. Like I said, you could just make your own, cut it out of something that you got around, or hardware store or something. So, but that's probably one of the best pieces I've bought. So this is video 1. Very simple, probably boring, but this is what I consider essential. There's more in my toolbox, of course, but this is what's essential, in my opinion. If you're gonna race on any sort of level, this is what you should have. And it's not a ton of money, probably, I don't know, 150 bucks worth of stuff total, tops. But when we're running cars that are over $1,000, this is just minor. This is very minimum what you're gonna need. So okay, I'll post this video, and the next video I want to do a ball diff. So I'll build a diff the way I do it from the start, and show you how to try to have a successful ball diff experience. No matter what car you have, it'll apply to anything. So okay, hope that wasn't too boring. We'll see you guys next time.